All right, everybody, welcome. Greetings, 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 greetings. Thank you so much for being a part of the training. All right, we have another cohort coming up, and I thought to share with us what to expect in the coming cohort. We have the cohort 3 coming up, and it's going to be a practical and a project approach to DevOps. By God's grace, we've done, the first cohort, which we have completed successfully. And of course, we have issued out, certificates of completion to all our participants. And also, we have the cohort 2 that is currently running, which will be wrapping up by the end of this month. And we thought to bring to us DevOps Training Cohort 3, which is going to be taking, another dimension, all right? We're not going to be following the approach that we have followed for the first 2 DevOps training. This time around, we want to focus majorly on, project. We're going to talk about the technologies, right? We're going to talk about, the different technologies that you use when it comes to DevOps, right? We're going to talk about Linux. We're going to talk about AWS, Terraform, Kubernetes, Docker, Jenkins, GitHub, GitLab, and things like that. We're going to talk about all of those things. But this time around, we want to look at it from a project angle. So we discuss about the technology, and then we see how we can, do a project, all right, on that particular technology that we talked about. So it's going to really be a practical and a project approach to DevOps, unlike, what we had. Of course, we do projects in the first cohort and the second cohort. We did quite a number of projects as well, right? But then this time around, we are making, we're putting the focus on the project, all right, in particular. All right, without wasting our time, let me just show us what we have for us for the cohort 3. I'm sure by the time you're watching this video and you're going through it, all right, I'm sure you're going to be excited and you would want to join, the program. Okay, so what are the objectives for this training? First of all, we want to ensure that you gain the knowledge of DevOps philosophy, tools, and practices. That is what we want to try and ensure. And also, we want you to understand how each of the DevOps tools are intertwined and how you can use them effectively and efficiently. Also, we are on this journey to help you to build capacity for you to be able to build, interpret, and deploy cloud architectures using recommended best practices. And also, you should, at the end of the training, have gained enough mastery in building efficient pipeline from the commit phase to production. And lastly, all right, one of the goals and one of our objectives is to help you build confidence by implementing different DevOps projects and also help you to develop the ability to communicate your knowledge of DevOps at any level, which means if you have an interview coming up, you should be confident enough to speak, all right, to what you've learned over time and, all right, get that job and, get out of the labor market. So let's look at the tools and the technologies we're going to be covering, all right? Now, there are other tools that we're going to be covering in the course of the class. Like I told us, it's going to be a project approach. We're going to be doing quite a number of projects, over 10 projects that we'll be doing. All right. So here we have a list of tools that we're going to be covering in no particular order. But of course, we're going to start from the very basics because we also understand that we have audience that are, transitioning. And of course, they may not have some background in IT, they may not have some level of understanding. So we are going to start from the very basic, which is the Linux operating system. All right, we talk about the Linux operating system. What is Linux operating system, batch scripting, and other things that make up the Linux OS. And then we move on from there to Git, Tomcat. We talk about Maven, AWS, basically talking about AWS tools and services, right? VPC, EC2, ECS, ECR, and other things that we'll be talking about. And then from there, we move on to Jenkins. We look at GitHub, Elm, which is a package manager for Kubernetes. And then we look at Docker, Terraform, Ansible, and CloudFormation. Now, these are the tools and technologies that we're going to be covering, all right? But then like I told us, this is going to be a project approach to DevOps. So I'm going to move from here and then show us the list of projects that we are going to be implementing together, starting from the very basics, all right? So the first project we're going to be implementing is Linux, Git, and batch scripting. So in this project, we're going to be developing a batch script to facilitate remote execution of commands on a target Linux machine. So basically, we're going to have a Linux machine that will serve as, the master node, all right? And then from that machine, we can execute some shell script, all right, on remote machines, right? You have other Linux servers. It can be CentOS, it can be any variant of Linux, but you should be able to interact, all right, with your Linux instances from, all right, a master node, just to put it that way. All right, so this is the first project that we're going to be executing, which is basically, all right, a basic project to help people understand and solidify the understanding of Linux, of Git Bash, all right, and of course, their Git, all right, skills. They should be able to understand how to create a Git repository, all right, clone a Git repository, push to that repository, all right, and then manage or version their code in that repository. So moving on from there, we have another project, which is the AWS Cloud for Web App Setup, right? So this project is basically a scenario-based one, right? Just thinking about, you have an on-prem infrastructure. Basically, you have a website that is hosted on-prem, and then you want to lift that, all right, infrastructure, and then you want to shift it to the cloud space, right? So what are those things that you would have to consider, or what are the tools that you would have to use, all right, trying to do, all right, this lift and shift? So of course, we're going to be looking at EC2. We're going to be looking at Apache Tomcat, which is more like a web server, just more like your, we're going to be looking at Apache Tomcat, right? So Apache Tomcat, it's more like your Nginx web server or your Apache, HTTPD web server, right? So by this time, we're going to be looking at Apache Tomcat. And then we're also going to be looking at RDS, which is a relational database, all right, a managed database on AWS. And of course, we're going to be looking at Route53, all right, which is, a domain, a DNS setup, all right, on AWS. And the third one is basically going to be a cloud native project. So when you talk about something, or you say something is cloud native, it definitely means that, this is something that was built, all right, basically on the cloud, right? There was nothing on-prem. It was just basically built on the cloud using cloud tools. So in this project, we're going to be looking at Elastic Beanstalk. We're going to be looking at Cloudform, which is a CDN, all right, on AWS, a content delivery network that can help you to catch your content in different locations, all right, to help you reduce latency so that as much as possible, your clients, wherever they are, they can access your services, all right, without, well, there can still be some latency, but then you want to ensure that, all right, they are able to access your resources, all right, with very minimal, all right, latency, okay? And in addition to that, we're also going to be looking at RDS, and this time around, we're going to be looking at Elastic Cache, which is also more like, a caching system, but basically for a database, all right, just to ensure that, all your traffic or all the requests that your client makes, right, it does not go to your database every time, right? Your Elastic Cache can, all right, hold some of those content or information so that if your client is coming back at another time to request the same thing from your database, right, that request does not have to go to the database again, right? It can just pick it up from the Elastic Cache. So that also will reduce some latency and some, wait time and all of that. So the fourth project is basically, we're moving on to Docker now. So here we're going to explore all things Docker. So we're going to look at Docker. All right, what is Docker? We're going to look at Docker Hub, which is basically an image repository. And then we're also going to see how to write your own Docker file. So you want to deploy, your web application and things like that. You must be able to write your own Docker file to make use of Docker images and then implement what you want to implement using that technology. And then, of course, we're going to be looking at Docker Compose, which is, something very useful that can help us to build multiple applications or multiple Docker applications using a single file, all right, and then all of this application can start up as a one, all right, application. So we're going to be looking at that. So the fifth project rather, that we'll be looking at is we're moving on to Jenkins now. So we're going to be looking at CI/CD with Jenkins, all right, continuous integration and continuous delivery with Jenkins, all right? So here we want to master, all right, the implementation of CI/CD pipeline using, all right, Jenkins, all right? That's what we want to look at. And in this project, we're going to be, connecting different tools, right? Of course, we're going to be looking at Jenkins. We're going to be building our images in Docker. And then those images, instead of, all right, pushing them to Docker Hub, we're going to push them to Amazon Elastic Container Registry, the ECR. And in the course of this CI/CD also, we're going to be deploying that image later on to ECS, which is an Elastic Container Services, all right? So from ECS, we should be able to access our application, and then we can also use Sonarqube, right? After the image has been built or before the image has been built, we can use Sonarqube to scan our code, basically to do code analysis to ensure that our code, all right, does not contain any kind of bug and things like that. And then, of course, we're also going to look at Slack. So we're going to integrate Slack into Jenkins so that whatever it is that is happening within our pipeline, right, we can get such notifications, all right, on our Slack channel. And moving on from there, we're also going to see how CI/CD is done on AWS, all right? AWS also has some native tools that you can also use to do continuous integration and continuous deployment, all right? Okay, in project 5, we're going to look at Jenkins. Okay, so Jenkins is one of those popular open source, all right, tool for CI/CD, but AWS also has its own native tool, all right, that you can use to do continuous integration and continuous deployment. So here we're going to be basically the same code, but then this time around we're using code commit. A code commit is more like your Git repository, all right, but then for AWS, what you call it is code commit. And then you have your code build, which is the tool that you can use to build application, more like your Maven, all right, that tool. And then you have the code deploy, you have the code pipeline, and then of course we're going to be deploying that code to our Elastic Beanstalk, and we're also going to be using Sonar Cloud to also analyze our code. And then this time around, instead of using Slack, we're going to be using AWS SNS, all right, which is a simple notification service, all right, to notify us of whatever it is that is going on, all right, within our pipeline. And moving on, we have another project. So project 7, this is going to be GitHub Actions for CI/CD. So this time around, all right, we've seen Jenkins, we've seen AWS, all right, CI/CD tools, right? Another tool that you can use to do continuous integration and deployment is what you call GitHub Actions. Right now, all of this project that I'm talking about, right, we're going to do them, but then we're also going to explain to us these tools, right? It's not that we're just going to start a class and then we start implementing project. No, we're still going to explain to us and give us an idea of what this is, why this is useful, why it is used, and all of that. And the reason we're taking this approach is to help us to really solidify our understanding. And of course, these are tools that are really, really relevant in today's job market, all right? So these are not outdated tools. They are current tools, things that people are looking for, all right, in the job market. Okay, so we're going to be looking at GitHub Action for CI/CD. And to do that, we're also going to be using a number of tools, right? GitHub is going to be, right? GitHub is going to now be like your Jenkins, okay? So, we have Jenkins for CI/CD, but this time around, we're going to be using GitHub Actions in the place of Jenkins, all right? And then we're still going to integrate our Sonar Cloud. We're going to integrate our ECR and ECS with GitHub Actions. And then, of course, we have our database and Maven to build, all right, our application, okay? So moving on, we have project 8. So this time around now, we've done, some CI/CD, Jenkins, GitHub Actions, AWS CI/CD. So now it's time to learn about Kubernetes, okay? Now, Kubernetes is a container orchestration tool, right? So basically, you have your Docker, so you can package your image into, all right, in Docker format and all of that, and then you can use Docker Compose to run such application. But then when you have several images that you want to run as containers, right? You just have to find a way to manage those containers. If a container should die, if a pod should die, something should be responsible, all right, to spin up another container to replace that one that has gone out of service, all right? Think about that more like your auto scaling, okay? If your server goes out of service on AWS, auto scaling is intelligent enough to do what? To spin up another instance and replace that, all right, instance that has gone out of service. So to ensure that, your service is still running, and then the downtime is not known to your client. So basically, that's what Kubernetes does, helping us manage our different containers. So in this project, we're going to be looking at how to deploy an application. So we're still going to be using the Docker or our Docker image, Docker Hub, and all of that. But then we're going to be using Kubernetes to manage the whole process. And then we're going to see how we can use the service component in Kubernetes to expose our applications so that people can have access to what we have built. And on number 9, we have CICD for container using Helm. Now, Helm is a package manager for Kubernetes. All right, now, just like you have your APT in Linux that helps you to install applications on your Ubuntu server. For CentOS and Red Hat, you have Yum, you have DNF and all of that, right? So in Kubernetes also, you have what you call a package manager, right? Something you can use to deploy your template files, automatically and all of that. So in this project, we're going to be looking at Helm, and then we're not just going to be looking at Helm alone, we're going to be looking at it and then see how to integrate that with Jenkins, okay? And then of course with Docker, with Kubernetes, and other tools, as well. So basically this time around, instead of also writing the template, now we're going to write the template, but instead of us, running this template one after the other to create our services, right, we're going to use Helm to just launch those templates at once to deploy whatever needs to be deployed, at once. So we're going to be looking at that. And in addition to that, now, so from project 10 to project 12, because we have 12 projects that we're going to be looking at together. So from project 10 to project 12, we're going to be talking about, automation. So the first automation tool we want to talk about here is Terraform. All right, we're going to be talking about Terraform. That's the first automation tool that we're going to talk about, in the course of class. So we're going to be talking about Terraform. Now, Terraform is an IAC tool, infrastructure as code tool, which is useful when it comes to setting up infrastructure in the cloud, right? Now, before now, some of the tools and deployment we've done, we've had to go to the console to set up the infrastructure, set up the instance, and other things, like that. But this time around, we're going to be automating some of the past projects that we have done up to this point. We're now going to be automating it using Terraform, all right? So this time around, we're going to take one of those projects that we have done before, that we used Elastic Beanstalk, to set up. So we're going to be using Terraform to automate the whole process. So instead of creating our RDS on the console, we're going to be using, Terraform to create it. Instead of creating our Elastic Cache also on the console, we're going to be using, Terraform to do all of that creation. So that way it is manageable, it is easy for us to, manage, and then of course it is easy for us to keep the Terraform states so that, we can know exactly what is going on within our environment and all of that. So we're going to be doing cloud automation with Terraform. So the next one we're going to be doing is cloud automation with Ansible, all right? Now, Ansible, it's a configuration management tool. Now, when you talk about infrastructure as code, there are actually two, they have two branches, if I could put it that way, all right? So under the infrastructure as code, which is IAC, there are two branches. So you have infrastructure as code, and then you have configuration management, right? So Terraform, it's an infrastructure as code tool. All right. So basically, this is a tool that you use to set up infrastructure, right? And then Ansible, on the other hand, is a tool that is used to manage configuration management. So which means Terraform is best when it comes to creating the infrastructure. Ansible is good when it comes to managing that infrastructure. All right. But the truth is, you can also use Ansible to create infrastructure. All right, that's just the basic truth. So we're also going to be doing cloud automation with Ansible, right? So seeing how we can also use Ansible to automate some of those projects that we have done in the past. All right, we're going to be using Ansible, all right, to to set up some of those projects. So some of the tools we're going to be using here is Apache, Tomcat, Nginx, CodeBuild, and of course Ansible. And so the last project on our list is CloudFormation. So basically, we're going to be looking at two infrastructure as code tool. Now, one is native to AWS, the other one is cloud agnostic, all right? So Terraform is cloud agnostic. It can work with any provider. CloudFormation, on the other hand, is basically for AWS, all right? So we're going to be looking at cloud automation also with CloudFormation. So we're going to be seeing how we can use CloudFormation to also automate some of the project that we've done all right before. But this time around, what we're going to be looking at is basically creating a root template, and then we're also going to be having a nested stack. So the root template is going to contain the link to all the other child templates, all right? So basically, by the time you're launching your CloudFormation stack, you're actually launching using the root template. So in the root template, you have the link to all the child template. So while you're running the root template is also executing, all right, those child templates. So basically, you have a nested, all right, stack. Okay, so we're going to be writing a CloudFormation template for Tomcat, for Jenkins, for Nexus, all right, and see how all of these things work together. All right, so in whole, we're going to be having 12 projects, all right, that we're going to be deploying. Like I said earlier, all right, we are not just going to go into the project, we're still going to discuss some of these technologies, give us an idea of what they do, but basically we are going to be, once we discuss these technologies, we go right into implementing them and seeing how these things work in real, all right, life. And so basically in the course of the program, all right, we have a learning management system that we're going to be using. All right, this is the URL here, awsclassprojects.com. So all the videos, all the class Zoom links is also going to be posted, all right, on this website. So for those who are going to be registering for this cohort, all right, you can get the Zoom link. For example, there's the cohort 2 that is already running, all right? So we have the DevOps cohort 2 here, which will be wrapping up later this month, all right? And here you have the links, okay? So if you click on this one, all right, you're going to get the Zoom link from here. So the Zoom link is there. So all you need to do is to log in, click on this link, and then you'll find yourself in the class. And of course, all of the videos, all right, we also have all the videos, all right here. So you can see these are the videos that were recorded in the past, all right? So these are different videos here. So if I click on this one, all right, you can see, all right, this is a video, okay? So as we conclude each of the classes, right, we upload the videos so that for those who didn't attend the class, or perhaps you were not available or something, or you want to rewatch, all right, the class, so you can always come here to rewatch the class. So this is one of the videos, all right, from the last class. All right, so these are different videos that we have right here. So you can see when we completed our Jenkins class, and then we moved into Kubernetes and all of that. So this site is where we manage the class link and the video. And for those who are also interested in certificate of completion, all right, we have a certificate module that has been integrated with our LMS, right? So that we don't create a certificate manually, all right? The system generates the certificates automatically, all right? So we have a certificate module, all right, that we have integrated. So if you go here, for example, and go to certificates, you're going to see a lot of certificates that we have issued out already to people who have completed cohort 1, right? So once we're done with cohort 2, right, we're also going to generate the certificates. And once they log in onto the platform, they can go to their profile section and then just download the certificate automatically. So it's not a manual process, it's something that is automated. And of course, the system also has a way by which if you want to verify your certificate, all right, it is verifiable, all right? Or maybe you submitted it somewhere and they want to verify the authenticity, all right? It can also be verified on the platform. And here is a copy of the certificate, all right? This is how it just looks, certificate of completion. So your name is printed here by the system automatically. And this QR code that you have here, it is something that you can scan to verify the authenticity, all right, of these certificates. So everything has been built into the platform, all right? Nothing is generated manually, everything is automated, all right? We're DevOps engineers, so automation is the way to go, right? So everything is automated. So if you take your phone, for example, and scan this QR code, right, it should be able to verify the authenticity of the certificate that you're seeing on your screen. All right. So for those who are interested, all right, we are going to have a copy of this at the end of the class. All right. So the QR code is verifiable. All right. Just put your phone, scan the QR code, and then, just go ahead and verify the certificate, right? I just did that on my phone now, and then it gives me, all right, the link to verify. And then all I can do, well, you can't see my phone, but then if I click on verify, definitely it will give me the name and the details of the person, all right, telling me that the certificate is valid. So that is that, all right. And then, of course, in terms of the program details, the commencement date is going to be February 2nd. That's on Friday at 7 p.m. CST. So for those who are going to be joining us, the time zone we're going to be using is 7 p.m. CST. We're not going to be having 2 time zones this time around. So it's going to be purely 7 p.m. CST. So the program is going to be just for 4 months. And of course, like I mentioned earlier, the links is going to be on the URL I just showed us. And all the class recordings will be made available, all right, at the above website. So you can get a class recording like I showed up earlier there, the certificate of completion. I just showed us that as well. And of course, this class will be held 2 times a week. Sorry, that's a mistake. It should be 2 times a week, all right, not 3 times a week, all right? It's going to be 2 times every week. So the option that we're looking at is we have 3 options. We have Mondays and Wednesdays, 7 p.m. CST. We have Wednesdays and Fridays, 7 p.m. CST. And we also have Fridays and Sundays, 7 p.m. CST, all right? So it's going to be like, once again, the class is going to be 2 times a week, all right? What we have here is just basically a typographical error, all right? So it's 2 times every week. So either we go in Monday and Wednesday, Wednesday and Friday, or Friday and Sunday. But for me, I think Friday and Sunday will be nice, all right? Just to consider some people will perhaps will have to work, maybe from Monday to Friday or so, all right? But then we're still going to conclude that by the time we have, you know, people register and all of that. So that is it on my end. So these are the contact details you can reach us on, right? So you can send an email to training@awscloud.com. You can also call us on this line here, and you can also send a WhatsApp message on the other line, all right? And then we'll attend to you. And of course, we have a YouTube link as well. So we have some videos on that YouTube link that you can watch, all right? We enjoy you to subscribe. And in addition to the DevOps training, we're also going to be dropping some videos on the YouTube channel starting from next month, all right, just to encourage people who want to learn DevOps and, you know, cloud generally, okay? So from next month as well, we're going to be dropping videos, all right, every weekend on the YouTube channel, all right? So you may want to subscribe now so that once we drop any video, you will be able to, all right, learn from those, all right, things, okay? So thank you so much, all right? We hope you will reach out, all right, you know, give us a call. Let's talk about this class. It's going to be starting the 2nd of February, 2024. All right. Thank you so much. All right. Thank you for your time. Thank you for listening. Okay. All right. So see you in class. Thank you.